So in this video for AP Physics C students, we're going to talk about how do we handle general harmonic motion. That is to say, how do we handle scenarios where we generally set up the differential equation and calculate the period of a more complex kind of harmonic motion problem in general. And so we'll also derive it for simple pendulums using torque, and also do it for the mass springs as well using F net equals ma. All right, so now we're going to look at the general harmonic motion, which are required in AP Physics C to understand. And the period equations for the harmonic motion that we've been using in the vertical mass spring, horizontal mass spring, and pendulum come from a differential equation setup. If you identify the omega, you can solve for the period t. And let me kind of show you the differential equation setup here in a second. Like I said, we'll derive it in this one because we'll use some of the principles to derive some of these things here. So the general idea, this is the general idea, is that you create a second order differential equation that looks like this. Now, this is not solvable by anything that you learn in AP Calculus A, B, or BC. This is a second order differential equation, relates the second derivative of x with the independent variable. So we call it a second order differential equation. You can't use separation of variables or anything like that. There are specific techniques that we use if you take a differential equations class. But the idea is the second derivative looks like the negative times some constant times the original variable. And you want to solve for x of t. And basically, if it looks like this, the reason we know it looks like this is if you do the derivative, this is the solution. And I can show you that we can verify it's a solution. That part we know, because if we do the derivative, it's going to be negative a omega cosine, sine omega t plus v. And then if we do the second derivative, it's going to be negative a omega squared cosine, because derivative of sine is cosine, and then you're having chain rule of omega t plus v. And if you see this a cosine omega t plus v, this right here is all just x of t. So then you can see that this would be negative omega squared times x, right? So this would be the solution to any second order differential equation that of this form. And this part here is a constant, okay? It can't be a function of something. It can't have time in it and stuff like that. It has to be a constant. That's a fixed value. So the solutions will look like this. And generally speaking, when we derive them, we're going to be using some form of Newton's second law, either the rotational form or a linear motion form. And so, and then you could also take derivatives, because this is a position as a function of time. Taking the derivative will give you the velocity. Taking the derivative of that will give you the acceleration. So this is the velocity here. This is the acceleration. Okay, so it will look like that just by taking those derivatives. So let's do a couple of derivations so you can kind of understand the setup here. So set up the differential equation for a horizontal mass spring system and derive the period of motion. Okay, so let's say we have a spring with spring constant k, block of mass m. We're going to displace it a distance and then release it, right? So it's going to have a location here and then a location there. Now, let's say we move it to this position. Let's first draw our free body diagram. We're going to have mg, we're going to have normal force, and then we're going to have a spring force pulling in this direction. Stretch it to the right. We're going to say right is the positive direction, by the way. It's important that you do that. So we've displaced it, the position to the right, and then we'll have a spring force to the left. And now we're going to apply F net equals ma. Now, the only force we're going to have is a spring force acting to the left, and we're at location, just say x is equal to some location x here. This is x equals 0. That's the relaxed length, okay? So the spring force is going to equal ma, and that's going to be, because it's pointing to the left, it's going to be negative k times its position, because its position is relative, because I made x equals 0 the equilibrium position, so his current position is simply how much it's been stretched, is equal to m, and then the acceleration is the second derivative here. You want to solve for this by moving this over here, so you get the second derivative. Dividing this by m is negative k over mx. And we want to pattern match it to the negative omega squared times x here. So if you pattern match this guy to this guy, you get k over m is equal to omega squared. So the omega is root k over m here. Now the period for a sinusoidal curve is 2 pi divided by this omega. I don't know if you guys remember that. Like we talked about in the first lesson on general harmonic motion, 2 pi divided by that number there is going to give you the period. Should have learned that in pre-calculus a bit, right? So 2 pi divided by omega is going to be that. That's going to be 2 pi divided by square root of k over m. And then you can just multiply by the reciprocal, 2 pi root m over k. And that is our period equation for horizontal mass spring. Let's do it for a pendulum, okay? So this part is a little bit trickier here. We have a pendulum, okay? It's going to swing back and forth from here to here. We're going to call this position, this is going to be theta equals 0. We're going to do it in terms of torque. Okay, so we have a pendulum here. So what we're going to do is, and then we'll make this direction the positive direction. So we'll make counterclockwise positive direction. Okay, and then that means clockwise is going to be the negative direction here. So now we're actually going to draw a free body diagram, do net torque equals I alpha. So this is mg. You're going to have tension here. And what we're going to do is use this as our axis of rotation, and we're going to use net torque equals I alpha. Okay. Now the I is pretty easy because this is a block and let's say the length of this string is L. It's ml squared because it's a mass, a point mass that's located distance L away from our axis of rotation. So that part's pretty easy. The torque we got to figure out here. Now if we draw our R vector from here, they're both acting at like the points, but if you draw your R vector here, the tension's parallel to the R vector, so it doesn't exert any torque. And then the mg is at an angle, so we got to split that up into a component parallel to the R vector and perpendicular to the R vector. Now this angle with respect to the vertical is theta. So it's kind of like these are two parallel lines. This angle is also theta right here. So the component that's perpendicular to the R vector, because it's running along that line, is going to be here, and that's going to be mg sine theta. So that torque that's acting is going to be mg sine theta. And because it's pointing that way, it's causing a torque clockwise. It would cause it to rotate clockwise. That's a negative torque. So it's going to be negative L times mg sine theta is equal to I, which is ml squared. And then the angular acceleration is the second derivative of the angular position. Okay. Now the m's cancel, and one of the l's cancel. And you unfortunately get this sine theta part. Now here's where the part that is important, why the angle is small. For small angles, this is called a small angle approximation, sine of theta is approximately equal to theta. And if you ever looked at like a graph, and the reason that happens, just to make sure you understand, this is a linear approximation for calculus. If you look at sine of x, okay, and y equals x, so y equals sine x, y equals sine, like you could say like, okay, they're not the same. However, if you zoom in very close to 0, they are very similar. Like when angles are very small, you see that the blue line is really on top of that red line. You zoom in small enough. So if the angle is small enough, then it's fair to assume that it's going to be approximately equal to that. And therefore, we can say negative g sine theta is then the left side here is approximately equal to negative g theta, which is equal to L like this, right? So then we can use, now it looks like, we can make it look like a form that we recognize. Move the L over, negative g over L theta is going to be the second derivative here. And again, you want to, this is looking like negative omega squared times theta, where the omega squared is g over L. So then the omega is square root of g over L, right? We're just pattern matching. Okay, and so then the period is 2 pi divided by omega, which is 2 pi divided by square root of g over L, which is equal to 2 pi root L over g, like that. Okay, and that's the period we use for a simple pendulum. Now, there's kind of a tricky part here that sometimes if you put a pendulum in accelerating reference frame, then it can be a little bit different on what this g is. But for the most part, you can rederive it if you need to for that. Okay, let's do one new thing. It's called a physical pendulum. We haven't talked about this period before, but suppose we have a rod of rotational inertia I, so it's not like a point mass at the end, but the rod is like a beam. And this beam could be made up of it doesn't have to be a uniform beam. It can just be, the mass could be distributed anywhere. It could have a ball sticking at the end, whatever. And rotational inertia I and mass m is attached to a hinge at the end. If the distance from the hinge to the center mass is d, and let's say the center mass is like right here. Okay, so that's this distance here is d. And the rod is set into motion, show that the period of oscillation is given by this. So this is going to be an extension of what we did before. We're still going to use net torque equals I alpha. Now, in this case, we're going to say, because the angular acceleration is going to be this way, we're going to make that the positive direction, this direction the negative direction. Actually, sorry, no. Let's do it just, well, okay. We'll make this direction positive theta. So counterclockwise will be positive, because that will be the angular position, and so clockwise will be the negative direction right there, just based on the picture. And we're reversing it because this way we made the clockwise the positive direction here, because that was the angular position. So I want the angular position when I do this setup to be positive. Like I want this to be a positive theta, so that means counterclockwise is a positive angle there. Let's draw a free body diagram. Well, gravity acts at the center of mass. And then you may have like some axial force here. Okay, but we're going to use net torque, and we're going to do the rotation around here, and we're going to use net torque equals I alpha. Now the I is given. So the only thing about the mg is you got to, like, this is not going to exert it. We're going to calculate the net torque now. The axle doesn't exert a torque. This is length d. Right? To calculate the torque here, we draw the r vector from the axis of rotation to where the force is applied. And we got to decompose the mg in a similar way. We need a parallel component to the r vector, and we want this part. But because this angle to the vertical is theta, this angle to this vertical is theta, this is again mg sine theta. And that is perpendicular to the r vector. That's going to exert a torque. It's going to exert a torque in the clockwise direction, which is a negative torque. So it's going to be negative mg sine theta times d is equal to I times the second derivative of the angular position, right? That's what angular acceleration is. And we approximate the sine theta as theta, so we use the small angle approximation. Then theta is about equal to sine theta. So then we have negative mg d theta is equal to I second derivative of theta over dt squared. We just move the I over. And then this is equal to negative omega squared times theta. That's our standard form. So therefore, omega squared has to be this guy right here, mgd over I. Now, it is important that that negative sign be there, because if it's not a negative sign, then the solution to the differential equation doesn't look like this, okay? So here the omega is then square root of mgd over I, and the period being 2 pi over omega is going to be 2 pi divided by this guy or multiplied by the reciprocal, I over mgd. And that's where we get here. So keep in mind what the I and represent. The I is the rotational inertia of the entire rod system, and the d is the distance to the center of mass. It is not the length of the rod. Be very careful on this one. D is the distance to the center of mass, because that's where gravity is acting, gravity causing that torque there. Okay. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, just to like improve the quality of the channel so that it shows up more, so we can share this out with more and more students out there. The other thing is if you do need extra help, if you're needing maybe some more practice questions, more guidance on multiple choice questions, we do have program options to help you practice. Also run office hours. I answer questions for students, things like that. A little bit more just structured guidance. If you feel like you're needing some of that, go ahead and click the description below. There will be a link that takes you to a website where you can see about how the different programs operate for all the AP Physics and AP Calculus programs we run.